God spoke to me once and said, only trade Forex.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Pivot Podcast. I am DJ Dan with Dean Bradshaw. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Pivot Podcast. This episode, I think, is going to be a fun one because you are primarily a Forex trader. For the most part, I'm primarily a stock trader. Why are you right and I'm wrong?
I think it's just because I'm just a better person, Dan, if I'm honest. And I know a lot about a lot of things. And, you know, God spoke to me once and said, only trade Forex. But no, I'm only joking.
Case closed. It's been a good episode of the Pivot Podcast.
Tune in next week and I will tell everyone the truth. But no, I think the reason why I think Forex was suited me better, one, time zones. Like I can literally just throw up my laptop and the markets run virtually 5 days a week, right? 24/7, 5 days a week, or, you know, that type of analogy. So one, it suited me, but for some reason it just clicked. So I like to trade what we call smart money concepts, and a lot of people roll their eyes at that because it's like, oh, the algorithms are tricking people, and, you know, all a big conspiracy theory. But
before we go further, what is a smart money concept?
So essentially, it's how hedge funds and all their bots trade. So they hunt for people's stops. All retail traders, they try to trap retail traders hunting for stops, and then create pockets of liquidity, grab those, and then take them in the opposite direction in order to service their large, big pocketed clients, essentially. Right. So if you can understand how they trade, then you can just basically copy them and mimic them, which is what we do with the Yumi and trading series over at RLT UK. When I learned those concepts, it just clicked for me. So I don't think there's a right or wrong. I tried stocks a number of times, and it just didn't happen. I don't even know why. Like, I can't even explain to you to say I even followed some of the strategies that I learned from RLT, you know, in the US, but maybe I didn't follow them to the letter, or I wasn't consistently following the trading plan that I had, and I can probably hold my hands up and say that. But for some reason, FX, Forex just clicked, and then taking those smart money concepts and moving it into futures also clicked. So that's why I do trade a bit of futures as well.
Yep, and I have a friend, and he's big into. And again, I've been telling him for forever. I was like, man, you gotta get into stocks. You gotta trade stocks. I mean, it's to go on to real life trading. There's free courses. I think he might have taken some. Not sure. And then once crypto blew up, and people every post everywhere is like, oh, crypto this, crypto that, Dogecoin. He's like, oh man, what do you think about this coin? What do you think about this? I'm like, I don't know. It's a poop coin. It's probably not doing anything. But if you want to trade it, and I think he kind of got absorbed into the everything just goes up market, and you can literally put money on anything in the crypto space at that time, and you're eventually making money, and you're a great trader. Now he's obviously struggling a little bit, but his one comment to me was when I was like, man, I have no problem with crypto. You can trade anything with a chart you can trade. But I was like, I just can't figure out why you just won't trade a stock. He goes, it moves too slow, right? And he's not coming from a wealthy background, but that was an interesting comment to me because I never thought of the stock market as moving too slow. Like, it's just choppy days. But like a stock could move up or down $1, and crypto, I mean, it's up 100% that day. It was just a different take on it that I just never kind of thought of. In the Forex, which I disagree with him, and I'm just like, you just don't really understand the stock market if you think it moves too slow. Like this, every single penny could be thousands of dollars for you or not. I mean, it depends on the size of the account you're coming in. But I understand what he was saying. In Forex, is it slower moving? Do you need a lot of money? I believe it's a more highly leveraged type trade.
It's really highly leveraged, so you don't need nowhere near as much money as you would to trade the same or the equivalent amount in stocks or shares. So that was another appeal to me, that you can, at some brokers, you can get like 100 to 1 leverage. So, you know, you can trade a really small account, and end up maximizing profits, or they have to be careful because you can maximize losses as well. So stop losses are important, but it does move quick, which I like. It does move quick, and I think for my personality, I like to be in, and I like to trade. The 1 minute chart is probably my favorite. So I like to be in and out of the trade within like 15, 20 minutes tops. Anything longer than that, I start to feel like I'm a swing trader, as you guys would call it, right? So I think, but so I like the pace of Forex. I like the leverage that you get. And there are so many funded accounts now, especially with Forex. There's so many. So again, you ain't even got to risk your own capital, and there's a few that have really good deals going on, right? So just like search around for that if you want to get your feet wet into it. But a lot of people get scared of Forex and they think it's scammy, and there's lots of scammers and things around with that. But as long as your broker is regulated and just verify that they're regulated with any governing body, then Forex is a very safe bet. It's the most highly liquid market on the planet.
It's the entire thing is made out of liquidity. So, what broker are you using to trade Forex?
So I use a broker called FX Pro.
Okay.
And the only reason why I use them is not because I think they're the greatest on the planet. Is I'm an F1 fan, and they sponsor my favorite F1 team. So I thought, I can't go wrong.
Is there limitations on that broker? Is that just a UK broker? Do you know if there's other restrictions outside for US, Canada?
I don't think you can get an account if you're in the US. You can throughout Europe. Oanda is one that most of my students in the US use, which again are regulated. So they're the only ones I can actually give an opinion on and say that I've used them, or I know people that have used them and had very little complaints. So
yeah,
that's one thing
that's
that you
what
have to watch.
I was using as well.
Sorry.
That's what I was using in the US when I was at the time trading Forex.
So what happened with you in Forex? Like, why couldn't you get on board with it?
I believe in the last episode you kind of summed it up. I can't remember if that was this episode or last. I think it was last, but it was when you were just sitting there 3 days, just nonstop trading. That I would say I have an addictive personality, right? So like if I start doing something, I need to figure out how I could do it to the best of my ability. Like I want to be able to like I don't understand why somebody else could do something and I can't do it, right? It just drives me crazy. So I'm like, I was born on Earth the same way somebody else was. There's zero restrictions as to why somebody else is able to achieve something and I can't, right? So if I get like that, then I just have to see it through, right? And so for me, it was like, okay, yeah, I want to trade. I think I started getting into stocks, at least really understand. I mean, from a young age, I was looking at stocks, but really starting to get interested in stocks. Maybe it was like 18 years old, something around that age. And then I was working for like a prop firm. We were trading stocks solely. And then after that, I was like, okay, what's this Forex thing that I keep hearing? And I started to get involved. But that's a 24-hour market. And I still preferred stocks. I was just always more, for me, stocks were just, I don't know, maybe it does move slow and I don't realize, but there was always something with stocks where I just became familiar, I think, with the companies and the news cycles and things like that. Where Forex, as soon as the market closed, I'm like, okay, Forex is open. I could make something happen on Forex now, and then it'd be like I just wasn't sleeping. And I was still running a business at the time where I was like, okay, I got so many different responsibilities. So for me, it was like a conscious decision to just throw the towel in on something, and it wasn't going to be stocks for me, just because I had a background I was comfortable with. Again, just how the news cycles affect things, just the flow of the market. And so for me, it was just conscious. I was like, I have to choose, because if I do both, I'm never having conversations with anybody ever again. I'm just sitting home at my computer and eating mac and cheese, I guess. I don't know, but it was a conscious decision for me for that one. I was like, I just have to give something up.
So it's like basically you choose your instruments like when you choose your wife, right? You can't explain why you like them. You just know.
I would disagree. I don't think you choose your wife. I think they choose you. And I don't know.
My wife might argue. She might argue. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. She chose me, and he's a lucky girl. Celine,
best decision of her life. Best decision. You're gonna have to only give her the Pivot Podcast links for just when me and Tracy were hosting, because she's gonna disagree with all of our she's gonna have to disagree with everything we say.
Dan, I'd be very shocked if anyone listens to our podcast, let alone my wife. Ever since Tracy's gone, everyone's gone. The quality's gone downhill.
This is the end.
But that's it. But so if someone wanted to get started in, for me, when I was first learning about trading stocks, and one of the big things I couldn't get my head around, I had a small account. So the whole pattern day trading rule used to frustrate me. That used to frustrate the hell out of me. And I think that was another reason why I like Forex, because you're not affected by that. So did you start off with a large account, or did you have a small account when you first started?
No, I legitimately started with $5,000, which I did blow up 2, maybe 3 times before, but before figuring out how to do it. One was just on shares, because I had no idea about stock. I was so new to everything. And then I think I blew it up again late after I started learning, and I was just like, okay, I'm figuring this thing out. And I think that second time was with the prop firm too. So I don't know if you've dealt with a prop firm before, but they're giving you high leverage. So it was, and I think I was out of college. I was like 22 years old, something like that. I think I was 21. And you go into the prop firm, whatever amount of money you give them, if it's 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is, they were leveraging you 10 to 1. So out of college, I'm like, okay, I got $5,000. Let me see what I can do. I'm going to I'll have a convertible within 6 months. Easy. I was like, wow, now I'm trading with $50,000 as a 21-year-old kid. Never seen that much money in my life, as far as money that I actually had. And the ability to trade that much in a stock market was crazy to me. The number one thing that they lacked was education. Like, there was, you're in a room with, I think it was with 10 to 15 of us, it depends on the day. And then we all have our own computers. We're sitting there, and we have one expert trader or whatever. He's calling out what he likes. And we're all just kind of, the rest of it was like Lord of the Flies. Like, we were all just sitting there, like, we all thought we knew what we were talking about, but none of us really had a concept. So it was blind leading the blind at that point. And the problem with besides the education, was the concept of the prop firm itself. So if I go in with $5,000, they leverage me 10 to 1. I have $50,000 to open that trading day. If I win, great, right? I get to keep the profits, but the $45,000 is not my money. Only that original $5,000 is, and then if I make anything, that's mine too. But if I lose, let's say it's $500 in a day, which is not hard to do with a $50,000 account. If I lose $500, the next day I show up, they're taking that $500 out of my money. So now I have $4,500. They're leveraging that. So that $500 actually cost me $5,000 of buying power. And it becomes a lot tougher to really make your gains. And there was no R system. There was no risk reward. So it was a very difficult concept where you just had a lot of people go in, fail. Again, education would have been a key aspect of that, instead of just basically throwing your money away trying to figure it out. So for me, that was the first couple experiences, and then I got into options, and I was up like $20,000 in a day. I'd be down 15,000. I was in the Wild West, and it was a lot of fun, but there was no consistency. It was just me figuring out that concept, and then eventually on the next $5,000, I was like, okay, I need to. There's only so many times I can re-up the 5,000 and. Until I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So that's when I started getting a little more serious. I had some education behind me at that point. I understood a lot of the concepts. And for me, the mind shift was like, don't worry about the $20,000 in a day. Worry about just being profitable that day. Just if I gain $1 in the day, fantastic. But if the setups are there and I started to really understand the R system, the risk units, and it got me a little bit more interested in the market. So I did deal with that PDT rule for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was a combination of how do I figure out, like, with a small account, how do I day trade? How do I also swing trade? What's the best options? You can only trade 3 times every 5 rolling day period. And it was just a lot of concepts that you had to kind of get used to, besides also learning the markets. It's not an easy position to be in, but I think also that kind of helped me because I was going slower. I was working on more of that technique as opposed to just trying to get that account to the 25,000 so I could go wild again. Just it was a steady process. For a new trader, somebody that might be either coming out of college, somebody that's working full time but strapped on cash, what would your recommendation be? And I think you're going to obviously lean a little toward Forex on this, but why should they do Forex over stocks?
I think one, the sheer amount of capital that you need to start a Forex account, because it's highly leveraged. So you don't need a lot of money. I've had people. Well, one of the coaches in real life trading in the UK, Joey, did a bit of a series where he traded $100, and he just showed someone how you can build $100 into 500, and just start there, because you can trade really tiny. They're called lot sizes, so we have got education on that. I think even on the US site is a free Forex course, but so you can trade a fraction of the lot sizes. So you can trade 0.1, which means that you're trading like 10 cents a pip move, right? So you can risk really small. And I think that's a great way to start. And I preferred that to paper trading, if I'm honest. I wasn't much of a paper trader because I didn't have any skin in the game, but I would trade so tiny that, I could have a 30 pip move and, make like $3. But if I lost 50 pips, it'd be like $5, right? So, and that way I learned quicker because it's actual money. So I would always recommend starting like that personally for me, and that's going against every sort of teaching out there, right? So don't trade with live money, paper trade first. But for me, you don't get that actual feel, you don't get that skin in the game, because that was one of the most daunting things when I'm transitioned from, okay, I've been doing some back testing and now I've got a live account. I think when I hit enter a trade, the amount of sweat that poured off me was frightening. I was so scared because it was like actual money. I'm live into the game now. So, and after a few losses and then re-educating myself, I just decided to trade tiny lot sizes, which you can't really do in stocks, right? You can't trade a fraction of a share. So, you don't get that live looking at the P&L move up and down. You don't get that feel, paper trading. And I don't think you can get that in stocks. And I think once you can master that, that's half the battle, whether you decide to trade Forex, stocks, options, or whatever in the future. It's just getting that live feel of seeing your balance go up or down and coming to terms with that and getting used to seeing that and just imprinting that into your mind. That's what helped me when I was first starting out. So I would recommend Forex personally, and I assume that you would probably recommend stocks then. No?
You'd be surprised. I could go either way on it. I'm not going to take a bias, only because I did trade Forex. I did trade stocks. I'm a big believer in the long-term account. So I think, worst case, while you're trying to figure out whether you like crypto, you like stocks, you like Forex, you like options, how to trade any of them, what the charts mean, I think from day one, you could start a long-term account. As long as you're setting it up properly, easily building in, because that's going to build wealth for you where no matter what you trade is going to bring, you're trading for income, right? You're not really trading for wealth, you're trading for income. But the longer you have to build out the long-term account, I like that better. So I would definitely go with stocks over really any other asset in terms of trying to build wealth. I think the charts are relatively the same for Forex as opposed to stocks. So just the education, if you do want to paper trade or you're going very small in either market, I think is fine. I do think you do have a little bit more advantage in the Forex world if you're coming from a spot where you don't really have a lot of capital. And I before the crypto boom, there was definitely a Forex boom where it was like everybody I knew was trading Forex, and people I was like Like, never talk to me about money ever or stocks ever to start posting about Forex trades. And I couldn't figure out why this thing was such a why everyone was. But then I realized it was because you are highly leveraged. You're getting an opportunity that stocks won't provide at that point, right? Is it for everybody? No, I think stocks have a spot for some people, depending on what their goal is, and I think Forex has another opportunity. And same thing with crypto. Crypto has a spot for some people that are. I mean, we've seen people that came really from nothing to Bitcoin millionaires because of crypto, right? And then you see all their videos on YouTube of how they're great traders, and it's like, no, the asset you were holding went up 30,000%. I mean, I don't. That's you didn't trade anything. You just got a good buy and you hit it. Good job. But I think both Forex and stocks have different advantages and disadvantages to it, and it's just I think it's honestly about the person themselves. What time do you have available to trade? I think that's going to be a big key factor as to which you prefer, and then also what style of trading too. I mean, you're in a trade for 15 minutes. You could trade Forex for a longer time period for sure. Yeah. Same thing with stocks. You could be in there for 15 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, or you could swing trade and be in for something for 2 weeks. So obviously, if you're taking a swing trade, you have wider stops, or just it's a little bit more calming to understand the candles day by day as opposed to minute by minute. It's the same thing, it's just smaller time frames.
Yeah, totally agree. And just on that crypto point, I haven't ever told anyone this before, so it's the first, right? But
exclusive.
I single-handedly caused the crypto bubble to birth. Yeah. I spent 3 years debating whether I was going to get into crypto or not, and the moment I did, it all tanked off. So if anyone's losing money in crypto, I apologize. It was my entry that caused the whole industry to collapse. So
so for anybody losing money, if you want to write your angry emails, it's Dean at Real Life Trading.
Just give it to me. I apologize.
Get them right over.
Now I'm bag holding.
Yep. Analysis though. It's good analysis to you.
There you go.
So this market is overinflated. Let me make sure I can pop this bubble.
That's it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, we'll have some future conversations on crypto, things like that as well, for sure. But with for you in Forex, if I've never traded Forex before, I'm thinking about starting. What is the first spot you would go to learn Forex, or what would be your first move in order to at least indulge in the world of Forex?
I think very easy. Go on to www.reallifetrading.com. Go on to free online courses and find the Forex Basics class, which was taught by a very good teacher, I'm told.
The reviews are successful.
The reviews that my mum and my auntie left are phenomenal, by the way. That's where I'd start, just so you can understand how the market moves and what pips are and all things like that. And then, I know people don't like to spend money in anything, right? But you just go get some coaching. That was one of the best things that I did. I was very fortunate that I didn't have to spend money on coaching. I had to trade time for coaching. So, Jeremy and coached me, and I had to trade my time in order to in exchange for service. So I would then reach out to someone, whether it be me or someone else who you like from another community. It doesn't have to be me, but just to get some coaching sessions in, and just so you can, because one of the things that I learned from is like what we do now on the podcast, right? Me and you, we can talk. I can ask you a question. You can give me immediate feedback. That's how my brain picks anything up. When I'm going for a course online, I might have a question. I can't get that instant response. So that's what helped to me, and it made things clearer because I learned whilst doing. So that would be the advice I'd give to anyone.
I like that. I like that statement where people don't like to spend money. It's an interesting concept.
Yeah. When
it comes down to spending money on something that, and I don't even like to use the term, but there's like the phrase out there that like you're not really spending money on your education, you're investing in yourself. Regardless, at the end of the day, you still have to pay the credit card bill, you still have to spend money. Yeah. But it is kind of astonishing to me, the people that go, oh, I can't. And again, if you don't have money, if you don't whatever see value, whatever the case is, we have a whole online portion for free education. They're thorough classes. There's no at the end, by the way, sign up for another $10,000 course. Nothing like that. I mean, it's your choice. If you want, if you go through all the courses and you like it, you're like, yeah, I want to learn more. I want to be more involved. Great. I mean, shoot myself, shoot Dean a message, shoot anybody at Real Life Trading a message. We'll set you at least in the right direction. In worst case, if you go through the free courses and you're like, this is over my head, I don't get it, I don't like it, I don't find passion in trading, that's fine as well. I mean, there's plenty of other opportunities and jobs, but it's just funny how people actually value the dollar, right? Or the money that they have, because they're like, I don't want to spend for a course or one-on-one or something like that. But then they'll go out and be like, oh yeah, no, the new car just came out, or the new sneakers just came out, or they'll just buy stuff on depreciating assets, and you're like, but one of those things is going to bring you a lot more of those in the future, or you just spend your money directly on that random item that will bring you satisfaction for 2 days, 3 days, and then you're like, okay, that's it. I spent the money. So it's just a weird concept of how people choose to spend money. And I think we could do probably a full episode on the concept of money, I think, as well.
I think we should do, because I was going to chime in there, Dan, but I think we definitely should do a full concept of money. And I think people just need to understand the difference between assets and liabilities. And I think there's simple terminology people don't understand. So, but yeah, I think we should, that's a definite episode for the future. I'm up for that.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be stock trading related of how people spend money. It's just if you just sit back and observe people about like where they rather spend money, like very few times, like the successful people, if you're looking at any CEOs, successful day traders, successful athletes, successful, whatever they do, like there's always money that they had to invest in themselves. And it could also be time. It could also be, I mean, you want to learn something, you don't have any money in your pocket, you go to the library and you just get a free book and just read something, right? Just work on improving yourself. Where a lot of people go, I don't have money, so I'll watch Netflix and I'll watch Roku or whatever people watch. I don't even know. But like, it's just crazy, like how they never have time. But then you're like, oh, but did you see the new episode of XYZ? And you're like, I thought you just didn't have time. Like,
exactly.
You have time. Exactly. You just choose to utilize it in different ways and then have an excuse for why you can't do something. So it's just it's an interesting concept how people perceive things.
Yeah, that's it. And I think, even for someone like me, right, I didn't have money when Jeremy first told me his coaching session prices, so I had to come up with a way, okay, look, this is what I can do for you if you in return do it for me. And I'm up for that. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. If someone wants a coaching session, doesn't want to part with the money, but can offer me an exchange in services, then just reach out to me, because I love stuff like that. And I would always respect more people who do that, because I think that's brilliant. But yeah, again, it is about how people decide where to place their time. And if people think that the new House of Dragons series, which is a spin-off from Game of Thrones, which I have no interest in, that's 2 hours or so an episode, right? Like, come on, you can binge YouTube for 2 hours. You can binge any online free courses that we have on our website for 2 hours. Because that will compound to come back to reward you in the future, where the House of Dragons, or whatever it's called, that's just that will just die a death, and there'll be another one, you know what I mean, and it's in the same position.
Different color dragon. That's it.
There you go. It's the same concept. It's the same thing.
And I think if somebody's sitting there and they're sitting back and they're going, okay, Dean trades Forex, Dan trades stocks, my friend posts about the Dogecoin. If they're sitting back and they're like, okay, I just really don't know which asset to try, and I don't know where I want to invest in myself, whether financially or spending the time, which is more valuable than the actual dollars you'd spend anyway. If you're sitting back and you're thinking of, and you just cannot make a decision, just try something. Like, just spend the next hour, instead of watching Game of Thrones, watch a course into something that you might be interested in, and you might like it, you might not. Everybody's different. They have different personalities. Different things click for different people. Different time frames work for different people. So, but start somewhere. Learn about a chart. The charts are going to be the same in no matter what aspect. Learn about, sit down, look at your finances. Try to understand, like, okay, do I not really have money? Am I spending money on something else? Can I, not even for coaching, but can I take money, save a little bit every single month, throwing into a trading account, build out that trading account, and then be able to make further returns? And I think just doing simple things like that every day, just a little bit more, before you know it, I mean, I think a lot of people like to get jealous of the future selves, right? They're like, or somebody else that has made it. They'll look at somebody like Jeremy and go, yeah, but he's trading with $1 million accounts, and of course it's easy for him to make money. Yeah, but you start as, like, everybody starts at zero. Like, we're born with no money, right? So we're born with no education, no money, and it's only how you grow, how you develop into the person that you want to become. And if you start that little move today, you take that first foot forward today, and you start to say, okay, even if I could save $50 and just throw it into a trading account, maybe today that's not going to get me that far, but eventually I'll have $100. Eventually I'll have $150, $200, and I'll be able to get better positions, better trades, I'll have the account, and then one day you're sitting at that spot where you have the $1 million account, and someone's looking at you like, oh, yeah, it's easy for you. You have the $1 million account, right? But you got to start somewhere. So we have just about run out of time for another episode of the Pivot Podcast. Thank you guys each and every week for joining us. Thanks again, Dean, for being here, being co-host of the Pivot Podcast. Make sure you guys check out the links. We do have links to the coaching sessions. We also have links to all the free education. Make sure you guys check that out. And until next time, we will catch you guys later.